again, graduating from a 5-month cohort with the University of Chicago Community Violence Intervention Leadership Academy to continue to build my skill set and understanding of how do we, reimagine what public safety looks like. How do we reimagine, a safe Birmingham again, and how do we begin to implement these non-traditional approaches to reduce gun violence in the city. And waking up on a Sunday morning and knowing and hearing of another mass shooting that had taken place, in the 5 Point South area. I'm going to take your listening audience back to July the 13th. In the North Birmingham district is in my district. And the same thing, going to bed on a Saturday, waking up on a Sunday, and you got 10 people, 4 deceased. Just really trying to really get a grip and a sense of like what is really transpiring.
And what's going on out there?
Root causes. I mean, you gotta really do a deep dive into the root causes. You can cut branches off of a dead tree, but if you don't kill the root or take that tree down, you're still gonna end up having these issues. And so we gotta attack, the root cause issues, the mental health aspect of this, the poverty aspect of this, culture, where you are, people always, I can go back and we can reflect back on our lives and think back, what we were doing, and, people could tell people, what to do or say something to that person. So we in those times where you really can't say, a whole lot, to people. You have to really be mindful how you approach. And then social media has, some blame in this as well, because everything that you pretty much see that's happening is played out on social media, just to see, somebody live and they're seeing the images. That's trauma all in itself. That's trauma for me. That's trauma for anybody that's watching. And so when you talking about trauma, you talking about individuals who are already traumatized to begin with, stressed out to begin with, and then you take that stress and you indoctrinate it, into these streets. And so your only way to solve any issue is picking up a gun and, taking a life of somebody.
Right now is the Birmingham Police Department, is Mayor Woodfin, is the Public Safety Committee, is the City Council doing all they can do?
I would say that we are, doing everything that we need to do. But let me just be clear here. CVI, and let me define CVI, because most people don't even know what CVI is, the acronym. It is Community Violence Intervention. And so when you have an influctuation of gun violence that's erupting all over this nation, cities are not used to seeing this. So how do we, find ways to reduce this? The first reaction is people thinking that, the police has to solve this. The police, we got to get the police involved. Police officers are first responders. Let me make that announcement and that statement again. They are first responders. Most people are already aware of what is jumping off before it jumps off. And so when we look at, traditional ways versus non-traditional ways, is we engage those and find solutions for males and females that we consider to be high-risk individuals.
Okay.
And offer them a way out of the high-risk lifestyle.
Okay.
And that's by offering them, a plethora of resources in an ecosystem. So you building out an ecosystem, you may have somebody in there, workforce development, healthcare, jobs, all of those things are, when you build out an ecosystem. And so you also tap into those that have been system impacted, those that are closest to the problem, or your solution, people that are respected. Like in your community where you grew up, that means you're credible. Right. That means that you have credibility, that people know who you are. People respect you in that community. So those are the people that you want to deploy, into these communities. So by offering these people that are, high-risk individuals, these 1%ers, your shooters and your hitters, an opportunity to come, out of the things that they're doing by mentorship programs, providing support, whether it be mental health support, whether it be workforce development, whether it be health
But
care.
are they taking advantage of these opportunities? And if they are there enough opportunities in enough different communities?
I would not say that they're not taking advantage. I think it is about leveraging the resources that are here and building the capacity of organizations, CBOs, and let me define that, community-based organizations, to help them scale up their capacity where they can get more people, involved, and also being great communicators of what is in Birmingham, what organizations offer this, what organizations offer that. I think the comms piece is off, where we really need to bring all of these organizations as a collective. Like when we went to Newark, they started an Office of Violence Prevention trauma center, but they had a Brick City Peace Collective. So the Peace Collective was the anchor to the Office of Violence Prevention's Trauma Center, which means the Peace Collective met on a weekly basis with all of the partners, whether it was, high school diploma, you need your GED, or you needed to go to college. So you had all these resources, that was there, to make sure that you offering them to people that are vulnerable and that are high risk. So I'm not saying that we don't have the resources. I think we just need to come together as a collective to make sure we're able to communicate and flush the resources out. So if you have somebody on the east side of town, you got somebody on the north side. So resources are all over the place.
Okay.
But I just think we need to do a better job of knowing what is out there where we can offer these resources, to individuals. And so I would say to those that, that are high risk individuals, do it for yourself. Do it for the people who love you, because accountability and swift action is going to be applied to those who do not want to take advantage of this. So, when somebody is offering you a way out, and when you can be, somebody that can help turn your community around, I would definitely, recommend, people take advantage of those. But again, building out the ecosystem and making sure that we have a resource guide and being able to partner and tell people where these resources are. I think we just got to do a better job at communicating that.
Let's rewind a little bit and talk about what happened at that center you're talking about, what happened at Quest, and what are we going to do moving forward? Meaning, are these club owners going to be held responsible for the actions in and around their establishments?
Well, I think, I'm going to go back to the July the 13th in North Birmingham. Of course, there was 14 people shot there, 4 deceased, 10 wounded. But as an immediate action, and being, the chair of the public safety, working with the Office of City Attorney, getting getting some action before the court, making sure that, that building, which that person was in a lease, was not able to operate any longer. So we were able to get, some swift action there by chaining the doors, and making sure that that person is not allowed to operate. But from a standpoint for anybody who wants to open up a business, or those that are doing business, you do have a moral obligation to protect those that frequent your establishment, leaving, coming in and leaving out.
Right.
And so when I say a moral obligation, I mean adequate lighting, adequate security, those that are state trained, those that are certified, again, adequate lighting, making sure that people that are causing issues in your establishment, that you have some type of parameters in place, for people that cause problems in your place before things like that get started. So I do think you have a moral obligation, to be a business owner. It's just like if I go in Walmart, Walmart has an obligation to make sure that everybody in there is safe, and leaving out safe and coming in safe.
Right.
So I do think that's a twofold thing. where, you do have an obligation as a business owner, to make sure that those that are coming into your establishment, come in safely and leave out safely. And that, again, adequate lighting, making sure, you have security maybe outside, making sure that people are getting to their cars, safely, and interrupting things before before it gets out of hand.
Right.
Yep.
I would like for you to talk about some specific organizations that are out there doing work. Let's just pick one. I take that back. Let's pick one organization out there doing work, and what is their approach, and how long is it going to take for us to see the outcomes from that?
Well, you have the Offender Alumni Association, who runs the Hospital Link Violence Intervention Program, which means people that are shot and go to UAB through the trauma unit are offered, these services,
Right.
To the organization. A person has to commit, to want to be in, come into that program. And they, meet the people where they are at the hospital bed and get them transitioned, to offer these services. But OAA is an organization that's made up of, people that are formerly incarcerated. They're violent interrupters. They're trained as violent interrupters. They have their training. They have some of them, all of them they've been trained under the credible messenger model. They have a young man over there by the name of Cordell, who is a gunshot victim himself, who is working as a violent interrupter. You couldn't have a better person, who was shot, and working, to transform lives. You have Miss Cherie Kennan, who is a mom who lost her son to violence, but working with victims. So you have all of that structure over there. And so that's what it's going to take. It's going to take, people that are system impacted, people that maybe have been, the prison before, change their lives, that have credibility, in these communities. And so what people have to realize is when you're asking people, to go into the community and work, these jobs are professionalized. Violent interrupters are professionalized, community outreach workers are professionalized, program officers are professionalized, people that are working at the hospital base, our intervention program, all of these are professionalized jobs now, where it's being recognized as profession. So they're doing some great work. They do that reentry piece, with people that are coming out of prison. The mayor has a reentry coalition that consists of multiple organizations, offering those individuals that are released from incarceration, helping them get their driver's license. You have Strive, an organization called Strive that offers workforce development. You have the Salvation Army, that has a big CDL program. Strive just started a surgical tech certification. And so when I looked up certification for a surgical tech, those jobs going in, 15 weeks of training, and then job placement, going in the door, making $60,000. Then you have the Department of Labor, who has Women in Manufacturing, a 6-month training program for women. And those jobs are working in car manufacturers. So the salary that these jobs pay. So it's major opportunity out here for people to change their life.
I don't. And I'm so happy that you went down the list, because there are those out there that would say there's nothing there. There are no opportunities for me. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go. So it's good that we know the opportunities are out there. But I'm going to tell you, just like I tell the mayor, ain't nobody going to none of that. And the ones that are going to those places, it's a trickle. It's not happening in large numbers. That makes me very pessimistic about what I like to talk about, the stick and the carrot. The carrot ain't working, in my opinion. What about the stick? What about those ordinances that the city council, that the mayor can do, because we don't have home rule, what more can we do to punish? Because I'll just say me, all right? I know other people out here have said it, but I ain't gonna put it on them. I'm gonna just say me. I want to see people punished more. I believe the stick will work more. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm going to have to push back,
Okay.
on that, because I believe in prevention versus, punishing people off the bat.
Okay.
And so I allude to it and I explain why. You remember when I said your actions and your decisions bring about consequences.
That's right.
Bring about consequences. If you're given a choice, to say, I want to change, I think we need to offer people that choice. Because I'm the mother of a formerly incarcerated that was given a chance when he got out here. So I believe in holding people accountable, but I also believe in preventive measures. If we can prevent, and that's just grabbing a lot of these people at the core, but punishing, why are we not getting down to the root cause of what is really transpiring in somebody's life? Because I'm going to say this, and I've said this openly, I did not birth a criminal in the world. I'm pretty sure most of the people that are doing the things that they're doing, they're in survival mode.
Okay.
Because again, I just think for me, I don't think the communication and the effectiveness of what is offered to individuals to change their lifestyle is being, just elevated at a high level.
Okay.
So I think the comms piece is off, and we really need to do a better job at elevating, those resources. And that comes with partnershiping. That comes with using every media outlet that you have. Your people go to worship houses every Sunday. Getting the clergy people involved, making these announcements, taking these things and dropping them off, at the churches, or making sure that we send in some type of newsletter out, to get it out. But that comes with, in my opinion, working with individuals who want to change, identifying those people that are high risk and offering them these opportunities. But if you don't take these opportunities, this gonna be your landing pad. So I believe in, I want the listening audience, to know that I believe in accountability, and you should be accountable for your actions. But I believe also that people should be given a chance to change their ways. But we got to attack the root cause to understand what is transpiring, with you, what's going on in your house. A lot of this stuff is generational. Like, the circumstances that people are born in, they just never had a chance from the beginning. Nobody ever gave them. We always talk about a second chance. What about the first chance? Were you ever given a first chance? And so, I believe again in accountability.
Sure.
And your actions and your decisions bring about consequences. But if we can interrupt that, I think we should be doing everything we can to interrupt that. Because when you look at the Alabama Department of Corrections, who's up on the DOJ lawsuit, when you look at the county jail, all you're going to continue to do is balloon your jails out. And your listening audience may not agree with me. I'm not saying that people should not be held accountable, for their actions. So let's make that real clear, because somebody get that twisted. Oh, she was on there saying they shouldn't lock them up. No, that's not what I'm saying.
No.
I said people should be held accountable. But I said we should make sure that we're doing everything that we can to give people a first chance, to make sure that we can change their life or attack the root cause of what is going on with them. And if you don't want to take the road to better your life, then your actions, your decisions going to bring about some great consequences.
Let's talk about the smallest, the littlest of these, our babies. I have a theory that we need to start there. It does not sound as attractive and immediate as stopping something right now. Mm-hmm. But my belief is that somewhere along the lines, we villainized our police officers. We made the military, going to the military, a bad idea. What are your thoughts as far as what you're talking about, preventative stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly feel like that's the length of the curve we're talking about here. We did not just get into this.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to get out of it very fast.
That's correct.
And I just wanted you to,
Yeah.
say your thoughts on it.
I really believe that our kids deserve peace. They deserve to be safe, and they deserve a bright future. I wholeheartedly believe that. And when I go back and look over my life and think about, my mom working, we had safe havens to go to, like community centers. So much was going on in these places that you didn't even want to leave when your mom came pick you up.
Right.
You didn't want to leave. You remember the free lunch?
Right.
The free lunch, going to get the bologna sandwich at the little cart, the little orange juice that was in there, like a little orange aid. You just didn't want to leave.
Right.
So I believe we got to get back to that, offering robust programming. I mean, like real robust programming.
Right.
We in different trends. We got to change the trend. We seeing so much of AI. We seeing so much of STEM. Like having these STEM programs, into these centers, the EA sporting games.
Yeah.
I ain't talking about whatever this is. What they be playing, hard to kill.
Right, Call of Duty.
We're not talking about stuff like that, but we're talking about telling kids how you can program and become like a programmer, and your game can be, something somebody can be playing. You got a big old crossplex over there with a nice swimming pool, like making sure that we can open these pools up and get in lifeguards and having, where kids can learn how to swim. Just all type of, but robust program. You got to have, some robust program. You got to change with the trends.
Yeah.
So I believe if we offer this on the front end, again, I believe our kids deserve to be safe. They deserve to live in peace, and they deserve to have a bright future. And so one of the things that I have done, like with the ARPA dollars, American Rescue Act money that the mayor gave us, is 3 of my centers. We're going to have a podcast studio in there.
Okay.
Y'all
gonna have to let me come over there and do a show.
Yeah, we're gonna let you come over. We're gonna I've talked to Park and Rex about, I think brightness, or just walking in a bright room can uplift you, make you feel good, make you feel better. We're gonna be offering restorative justice practices in there, like teaching kids what healing circles is all about. Like if you harm somebody, why it's not good to harm somebody, and being able to, come together and squash what you got going on and love on one another. We're gonna have. I'm gonna work with Ed Farms to do a gaming room in there, something to attract the kids back. I used to like to skate. I got a pair of skates in my car. So are we teaching kids really how to skate? I did come skate with Council Tate at the Boutwell.
Right.
We had to skate. But like, how do we just bring a skating rink to the streets?
Mm-hmm.
Block a street out, barricade a street out, lay it down with a skating rink. Just fun, robust stuff. Letting kids be kids. So I believe if we put in some robust programming into these centers, I think a lot of this stuff can be stopped. Even when I went to Newark, we went to a organization called the Hub. The Hub was a housing development, and it was underneath. Their office was on the bottom floor. When we walked in there, everything that I had envisioned, they had it. When you walked in the Hub, every wall was, all TVs there was a gaming center. They had a studio in there where they produced music. They did broadcasting. I mean, everything that child could imagine was up in there. So their job was to help young people that had gotten into trouble, that was high risk.
Right.
They was calling those Like if you're an influencer, just think if you are an influencer on social media, a young person, if you can influence people to follow you and you doing wrong, that means that you are an influencer. So you can channel that and can have people following you to do right. So we met a young man, we was there, he had gotten in some trouble, and he was a young violent interrupter. He had changed his life because he had a big old lot of people following him on social media. Okay. So most of the people that was in the center was like his little folks that was getting in trouble. Girls, young. It was just a joy to see them young people changing their lives and just to see that they wanted to see their community safe. So I believe if we work on the front end and have some robust programming in some spaces and places, a lot of this, we're not going to get out of this overnight. You know, that's going to take a lot of work, a lot of people unifying and working as a collective, which means state, federal, local partners, all the community-based violent organizations, and the community has to buy in to reduce violence in their communities. You have to buy in. You have to be what you want to see and take control of where you live at. And I really believe that Birmingham is a resilient place. We can bounce back. We can be better than what's being depicted of us in the media. And it's enough people here that really want to feel safe. Children have a future and just live a vibrant life. Be out, go and enjoy and explore. It's a lot of things going on here. And we don't want to leave our houses thinking that it's going to be me next. I don't want people to feel like that. I want people, to play a part in helping reduce violence because it cannot be all on the government. Community violence means just what it say, community violence intervention. It ain't saying about the police community violence intervention. It says community. Community are people that have stake in neighborhoods, live in neighborhoods. So that means your people that live in the community. That means your churches that's in the community. That means your business owners that's in the community. That means everybody coming together, working as a community. When we break community down, the end of that on the community is unity.
But what I'm hearing from you and what I'm agreeing with is it's not going to happen overnight.
It's not going to happen overnight. Most of these cities that we went in and talking to, the 30 individuals, me making 31, 5-month cohort from the University of Chicago Community Violence Intervention Leadership Academy. Everybody in there was a leader in an organization, whether you work for the government, whether you work for the Office of Violence Prevention, whether you ran a community safety initiative in your area, just to hear and learn the models and the things that they were doing to reduce violence in their city. The buy-in was in the community, and they didn't get out of that overnight. Newark, New Jersey, just talking to Deputy Mayor Keisha Urey, I think they got around 34 homicides, which is 34 too many. But Newark's population is bigger than Birmingham.
Way bigger.
So their violence reduction plan came into play when Mayor Baracus was elected, and he put, made an investment in a lot of community-based violence. He stood up the Office of Violence Prevention, which he funded that. And they were able to fund community-based violence organizations that were doing the work and hold people accountable. Even though you get grant funding, you gotta produce, you gotta show data, and you must be accountable for how you are using the money. And so,
and will you bring us home on that little issue and that little point? It's a lot of people out there talking about, oh, they can give me some money, I can do this, that, and other. Talk about what a real nonprofit is and how can people get some money if they're doing real work in the community.
First of all, I'm going to use the words of Shantae Jackson, who I have a lot of respect for, that used to run Muncie, the mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety in Baltimore, who's now leading, working over at Nick Jr. With David Muhammad. And one of the things that I heard my sister say is, we're not going to call you out, but we're going to call you in. Because it is true evidence that I cannot do this work by myself. You can't do it by yourself. None of us, the reality of all this is we can't do this by ourselves. So what I am really pushing is the nonprofits that are not properly structured, is you getting a consultant helping you to build capacity, making sure that your organization is structurally sound. Because you can get into some major trouble if you're not structurally sound, which means you need an accountant, you need bylaws, you need a board, you got to have meetings. When you start getting grant funding and sign an MOU by a philanthropy partner, you got to produce. You got to do just what that MOU said, or you can find yourself in a world of trouble.
Will your office help people? Or direct people at least?
You know, that's something that I'm working on, you know, to get, you know, we have people right here in Birmingham.
Sure.
Like we're not going outside of Birmingham. Like we got people like entrepreneur centers like Bob Dickerson and navigators. I may be saying it wrong, but people can really help you set your stuff up like you need to set up. I would.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like, if someone needs a mentor, if someone needs someone to follow, could they at least call your office and you say, you know, look, you need to reach out to such and such. You need to reach out to the Offender Alliance. You know, you're willing to do that.
One of the things that I'm working on, and I've been so busy and I got to return some calls, is an educational component to all of this, because I really believe that we gotta educate people and really want to make sure that we investing, you know, into people that's doing some good quality work, but also letting you know that to keep you from crossing those lines or running yourself into some type of issue where you will find yourself on a chopping block. I'm not saying from the city, but just with maybe a philanthropy partner that has given you a grant. They gonna hold you accountable. I've seen people been held accountable, which means you can't take these people money and go buy no red bottoms. You gotta do the work with the money that they have given you. You got to. And so not calling you out, but calling you in, but making sure that we can say, hey, you need to go over here and let Bob Dickerson or people that can help you get your nonprofit, making sure that you got your paperwork, the I's dotted, the T's crossed, you filed with the Secretary of State. Somebody can look you up and say, oh, they on the Secretary of State, you know, website. Oh, they legit. I can see their board members. I can see their bylaws. I can see, you know, things that they have filed. Oh, I can look on they Gold Star and they can look at their 990s, you know, I can see who funded them or see what type of star rating they may have. So really making sure that you structurally sound. So that's just what I would like to, you know, say for the CBOs, the community-based violence organizations that are here. Make sure that you are structurally sound. Structurally sound. You got to have an accountant where they doing your 990, your loss and profit statement, because the internal revenue, they ain't gonna play with you. The IRS ain't gonna play. You can lose your nonprofit status just by not doing some of the simplest things. That's why it's so important that you have a legitimate CPA firm doing your book, so you won't have to worry about stuff like this. Have you a payroll department where if you have people on your staff, your payroll,
you ain't just giving them a little pocket money. They
get a check cut. It's getting deposited into their accounts. And even if your office, even if you strictly working remote, you got Gusto, you got all these platforms where you can have your people clocking in.
I just had to bring that up because a lot of people say, well, the city won't work with me, the state won't work with me. And it's because you don't have your things in order. Now, finally, I want you to Tell us how to get in touch with your office. And any closing words.
Well, of course, y'all can reach out to City Hall, call City Hall, the council office, and, talk to my staff. Ms. Collins is the chief of staff. You got Gregory Stanley, who is the director of constituent service. I'm always looking at the city email. So people who have gotten to know me, I will call you back in a New York minute. I will answer an email and chop it up with you. But you can, send an email, Latonya, LATONYA Tate, at Birmingham, spelled all the way out, AL.gov. That's a way to get in touch with me. You can always come to City Hall. I'm not telling you that I work. So I'm not saying I be at City Hall on Tuesdays. Tuesdays. But other than that, my staff, will be glad to assist you. And so I would highly recommend those that, want to reach out. You want to talk. Think you got some stuff that you can bring to this ecosystem. Again, not calling people out, but calling people in, because we cannot do this by ourselves. It's going to take all of us. Every human being in every corridor of this city, the west, the south, the east, and the north. We need partners everywhere. So again, closing with this, I just really, would say that we really got to get a great resource guide. So when we are trying to tell people where these services are, that we can have, if people frequent libraries, they stuff their information in the library. It's in, the church houses. It's, newsletters going out. So I think we're going to get this thing together. We're going to get this together. But we're not going to get out of this overnight. So I don't want people to think that this is a 1-2, like I'm finna bake a pound cake and it take an hour and 30 minutes for the cake to get ready. If you're looking for that, it's not going to happen. It's going to gradually start turning around. But the way to turn it around is the community has to invest. The community has to be the buy-in. So that means working with community-based organizations. That means working with the community. That means working with business owners. That means working with everybody got a role that they play in this. And finally, what I will say is we got to unite. We got to show a united front. We got to get federal partners. We got to get state partners. Everybody has to get involved in this to make this work. Police officers are first responders. Keep that in mind. First responders. Any type of violence that's going to be reduced in Birmingham has to be reduced by the people that live in communities. Again, we can do this. I know we can do this. And I'm just going to say this as it ain't no time for no finger pointing. It's time to unify and become a united front and attack this head on, because the ultimate goal here is to reduce violence. That's my goal. That's what I'm leaving with. That's what I'm going to lean in with. That's what I'm going to rock with. If you want to work, let's work. It's real simple.